Welcome to Tactical Truths, the playlist where we bring you the latest military news, tactical analysis, and stories that matter most to our community. Hit subscribe and join us for sharp insights and frontline perspectives. I'm Phil Campion, former UK SAS, and this is the Tactical Truth. Welcome to the Tactical Truths. This week, we're going to have a look at how North Korean soldiers have been conducting business whilst working alongside the Russians. Now, even to get a confession from anybody that the North Koreans are actually there is an impossibility if you speak to a Russian or a North Korean. They're almost denying the fact that they're there. In fact, some stories have gone as far as to suggest that Russian soldiers are even damaging the physical appearance of North Korean soldiers in a bid for them, when they get scraped off the battlefield by the Ukrainians, to not know who they've got, what they've got, and all the rest of it. Let's get into this story, shall we? Right, let's have a quick butchers at this. Right, here we go.
No.
Well, you don't want to go on telly, does he? There you go. Tell him to put a mask on. Russian soldiers telling North Korean soldiers put a mask on. They don't want them identified at all.
И кто все равно то знает, да?
And as you can say, come on, nobody knows you're here. Have the Russians got internet? Right, here we go. Right, come on.
Кто знает, да?
Right, so you can see there quite clearly what you would imagine are North Korean soldiers. What's allegedly happening at the moment is that when soldiers are identified or they're killed, not only are the Russians trying to disguise their identity, but they're going to some extreme lengths, actually burning the faces off of dead soldiers. Now, that's just next level shithousery, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Next level shithouse. Incredible, but that's what they're saying is happening.
Vladimir Putin's forces are reportedly taking shocking measures to hide the extent of their war losses. Disturbing reports claim that the faces of dead North Korean soldiers are being burned to conceal their identities.
There we go, being burnt to conceal their identities. Hey! I mean, who knows the identities of these people in the first place? It's not like their families are going to be watching the telly and seeing it, is it? So they're not hiding them from them, are they? This is a political move. This is the North Koreans and the Russians saying, hey, you're not going to get any footage of our troops fighting over there. Well, you are, aren't you? Because they quite clearly have. And so that's why there's like a... It reminds me of the old KGB missions. When you hear about things in Chernobyl and stuff like that, well, they're these great big cover-ups. But they're covering up something that people already know about. Insane. Incredible. And that is an extreme length, isn't it? That is an extreme thing to do. Actually scuff someone's face off or burn it off so that they can't be identified from wherever they've come from.
Footage of recent drone strikes in Russia's Kursk region.
There we go. So with these drone strikes that are happening now, it's increasingly difficult to deny who's actually there. These drones are cutting about with 4K, 6K cameras on them, filming absolutely everything they do up close, far away, getting 3/4 image size, which is good enough to identify what sort of soldier you have in front of you. So there's no denying it, you know, especially if these troops are caught alive. There's no denying it. But the drones are putting another angle on this, aren't they? They're actually going in and getting this footage. They don't need them alive. They don't care. They can get the footage they need.
Has shown just what these North Korean troops sent to support Putin's war effort are being put. The Kremlin's use of North Korean soldiers highlights the growing desperation in Russia's military strategy.
Right, so it looks to me like the North Koreans are being used as fodder here. Okay, this area in particular, I think, is the Kursk. It's an area in which Russia are trying to push forwards into. But because it's so dangerous, because they know they're going to come up across stiff opposition, oh, in you go, North Korea, off you go, son, you go and have a go at that. Do you know what I mean? And they're getting battered. They're getting absolutely battered. But then the Russians are stepping back and they're saying to themselves, don't want anybody finding out that the North Koreans are fighting on our behalf. So that's where this is all happening. This is emanating from.
Reports now suggest that these foreign troops are suffering heavy losses that the Russian military appears very desperate to cover up. Ukrainian officials say that
There you go, desperate to cover up the heavy losses, but the North Korean, moreover, heavy losses, all right? Of course they're desperate to cover it up. They don't want people to know that, do they? They're getting their asses whooped.
The Russian troops have been seen placing masks over the faces of fallen North Korean soldiers or even burning their faces to remove any identifying features. Ukrainian President Zelensky condemned the treatment of these troops and shared haunting images to support his claims. He said, quote, Russia is not only involved.
So they're not making this stuff up. They are sharing images which you can get and you can see and everybody else can see that supports what they're saying. All right, it's not being made up. This stuff. It's a shocking story. I'm going to tell you.
Involving North Korean soldiers in assaults on Ukrainian.
Let's see what Zelensky had to say about it.
Positions, but also trying to hide their losses. After battles, the Russians are literally burning the faces of the killed North Korean soldiers. This shows the contempt that now reigns in Russia. Contempt for everything human, unquote. Zelensky went
Contempt? It's grim, isn't it? Proper grim.
on to say that there is no reason for Koreans to fight and die for Putin, calling him mockery even in death. Meanwhile,
he also said there was no reason for the North Koreans to be scrapping. Listen to this.
the U.S. Pentagon has confirmed the North Korean presence on the battlefield. Major General Pat Ryder stated that these soldiers have suffered significant casualties.
So the US have confirmed that they know that there's a presence of North Koreans on the... This isn't a secret anymore. This isn't a secret. I mean, the mental health thing aside of asking somebody to go and scuff someone else's face off once they're dead is a nightmare anyway. I mean, you just see the connotations of what's going on here. It's a lose-lose-lose across the line, isn't it? It's horrendous. It's honking. Here we catch up with some Ukrainian Special Forces Commando unit. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they've actually been on an operation going after these people.
Ukrainian Special Forces move in on a unit of North Koreans that's just been hit by drones and artillery.
There you go. Just been hit by drones and artillery. They are taking a proper whooping. And I'll tell you now, I've seen, these drones, it conjures up the image of just one drone coming over. It's not one drone. These things are flying in sorties. They've got an advanced party which goes and wrecks stuff. They've then got the main body which comes in, which has got outriggers to protect it. It's got drones that are coming in to drop stuff. It's got big drones, small drones. They're dropping large stuff. They're going after soldiers individually. Sorties of up to 80 to 100 drones are pinging these people, going in, sorting them out, filming it, and then moving on. It's incredible.
They take no chance.
And then, as you can see here, the ground troops will just roll it over.
Known to blow themselves up with grenades on the battlefield rather than be captured alive.
Honestly, I didn't feel any pity for them. These people came from the other side.
True. I get that. I get what you're saying there. No pity for them, etc., etc. But having said that, they've come from an oppressed nation where if they didn't go, they'd get pushed out there anyway. They got no chance. They got family back in North Korea. If they don't perform out there or do as they're told out there, the family will get rounded off. Up to the gulag they go. You know the score out there, okay? They're very, very tightly controlled. So these soldiers have no choice. It's not like they said, right, who wants to go? That didn't happen, did it? They didn't go, who wants to go and fight in Ukraine? No, thank you. Oh, okay, no problem. Back you go to your nice estate. No, it's not. It's like you are going. You'll go now. And I'll tell you what, you'll do it to the bitter end. Or Mr. and Mrs. Children, 3 generations, I think they clip if they're not happy with your performance over there. So you can see what's going on, can't you?
On behalf of the enemy.
Sky News spoke exclusively.
That said, if I was a Ukrainian soldier, I still wouldn't be that happy about coming across a North Korean. But you need an understanding from top to bottom. I've always said this about any theatre of war. You need to look at it from other people's perspectives to try and understand what's going on. And this is probably why these soldiers would sooner clack off than get caught, go home, disgrace themselves, whatever.
Exclusively to a commando who was on the operation inside the Russian region of Kursk. He says their task was to gather evidence to prove North Korean forces are fighting in the war, something neither...
There you go, that's a mission, isn't it? To go in and find out and show and let everybody know what's going on. And they will be doing that. They've obviously, I've seen some of the footage now, they've obviously found North Korean soldiers. So, mission accomplished. But some of the other stuff going on alongside this is pretty poor as well.
Pyongyang nor Moscow have officially confirmed.
There you go. Have officially confirmed. They don't need to officially confirm, do they? We know. We can see.
We are cutting hair for DNA testing. We take a sample from under the lip with a cotton swab. And of course we take tags that might indicate their presence, documents, military ID cards.
There you go. So anything they can to prove that these soldiers are coming from North Korea, that's what they're doing. They're filming it all. Technology has given us a world whereby now we can document everything accurately and unarguably. You can't argue with this video footage. You cannot argue with a swab taken from a soldier's mouth. You can't. And you can't argue if you've got footage of him actually fighting against you. So it's just, why would governments try and cover that up? It doesn't make no sense. You're going to get caught out. It's just another risk. These soldiers have had to go on another mission that perhaps maybe was avoidable, to go and gather this evidence, which they've already got.
ID cards.
The ID cards are Russian.
There you go. This is top thinking by Boris, this, isn't it? Let's give them the ID card. Oh, that's good. Yeah, let's give them the ID card. Yeah, good. Nice one. Yeah, no one's going to fall for that. No one's going to fall for the old switcheroo, are they?
Seemingly a clumsy attempt to mask identity.
A clumsy attempt? Look, and then you go in the other pocket and you find pictures of his family back in Pyongyang or wherever it's called. You know what I mean? There you go. Oh, there you go. That's just down the road. No, it's not. It's across there, isn't it? We know that.
The attempt to mask identities. Evidence too, though, of real lives and loved ones back.
Unless in some master plan plot, they just thought, right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a double switcheroo and we'll pretend we weren't, and then we can say we were and we weren't, we were. We were. No, doesn't work, does it? No.
Home.
Nice pool table for the front line, by the way.
The commander of the Special Forces unit said the first
whose pool table is on the front line.
time his men spotted North Koreans was on the 15th of December.
There you go. So they've seen it. He's obviously seen them. This guy's obviously done a little bit out here. You know, let's hear what he says about the first time he saw North Koreans and how he was identifying them as North Koreans.
December.
Unlike the Russians, who previously operated in smaller groups, we were now seeing groups of 20, 40, or even 60 men.
There you go. So troop size and numbers was giving it away slightly. Like I say, Russians were operating in smaller groups. These guys were coming as a whole bunch, 20-odd guys. That's a lot of guys, isn't it?
Moving with remarkable speed.
Is that saying that the Russians don't move as fast? Remarkable speed. The Russian soldiers got an unremarkable speed?
We began coordinating artillery strikes. What was unusual in this case was that they didn't retreat.
Well, there you go. So that's an interesting statement as well. So he's saying that these soldiers didn't retreat. So he's saying the Russians obviously did.
He shows us what he says is footage of dozens of North Korean soldiers killed fighting to help Moscow retake a chunk of Kursk that was...
Obviously, this has been blurred out, but they look like North Koreans to me.
...captured by Ukraine last year. Kyiv says some 4,000 out of 11,000 North Koreans deployed to Russia have so far been killed or injured.
That's nearly 50% of the people that have gone over there apparently have already met their maker. So from the front line, let's have a quick look. We caught up. There's a mortar team here. All right, there's a mortar team. They should know, if anybody, what's going on. And they're saying that attacks are intensifying.
1,000 North Koreans deployed to Russia have so far been killed or injured. We join a mortar team on Ukraine's side of the border with Kursk. They say attacks in this direction are intensifying, even as Moscow and Pyongyang focus on pushing Ukrainian troops off Russian land. Fire, he shouts. The soldiers are aiming for targets inside Russia.
They just fired their mortars towards the Russian positions. We've been told there's a drone.
I'd run a bit faster than that.
Back to cover.
Oh, make sure your hat doesn't fall off.
With Ukraine now pitched against two of the world's largest armies, it's a grueling fight.
The biggest danger, mortars, shelling or FPV.
There you go. So they're up against all sorts here. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's a different place. This battlefield. It's, you know, they're living like they were in World War II. They're dug in. They're trenched out. They're living in shell scrapes. They're in wood blocks and forestry blocks and all the rest of it. But yeah, they're getting all this technology coming their way, which is a complete game changer.
Shelling or FPV drones, and sometimes sabotage and reconnaissance groups.
The battle for Kursk could be about to become even harder, especially if the North Koreans learn lessons.
Interesting to point that out, actually, that the North Koreans probably will come back better and stronger. Don't forget, the North Koreans haven't really conducted an operation like this anywhere in the world. You know, they've not been fighting all around the planet, have they? They've been sort of like contained within their own country. So they'll be learning stuff the whole time. They'll be analysing what's going on. Obviously, if you've lost nearly 50% of your fighting force, somebody's going to be asking questions and somebody's going to want to do stuff slightly differently, aren't they? So I would imagine that if the North Korean does bolster its forces, they'll have some sort of... They'd have at least looked at what they're doing. Surely they can't just keep shoving them into the front line willy-nilly just to get bludgeoned to death by drones and mortar fire.
Learn lessons from their first clashes.
Right now, for about 2 weeks, there have been no North Koreans at all. Either they are analysing their mistakes.
I think that's quite an astute observation there. They haven't seen anyone for 2 weeks. They've probably pulled out to say, what the fuck is going on? Do you know what I mean? They're having a proper look at it. But they will, don't write them off. Don't write them off. They're a huge army. They can afford to send manpower at this all day. Boom, boom, boom. Have some more, have some more, have some more. So they won't be, they won't be just licking their wounds and going home. They'll be, they'll want to save some face out of all this. Do you know what I mean? Especially if those sorts of figures are being bandied about, Pyongyang and, Kim Jong Un's got an ego like a small planet. He won't like to think that he's been kicked in the nuts, will he? Do you know what I mean? He'll want to show the world that he can kick you back.
Or tending to their wounds, or maybe they are waiting for reinforcements. There is talks that Kim Jong Un is sending more.
Of course he is. He's not having that, is he? And he's got plenty to send. I mean, his army's reportedly over 1 million or so. Every other person's in the army over there, aren't they? You see those great big parades they have and all that sort of stuff.
North Koreans here.
And what do you think?
I think they will return soon.
Deborah Haynes, Sky News, northeastern Ukraine.
So let's have a quick summary of this, shall we? North Koreans out there, they're obviously fighting for some reason. People are trying to cover it up. I don't think they can cover it up. It's, like I said, they're known for their cover-ups, the old Russians. Look at Chernobyl. They can't cover that up, can you? It's a nuclear power station. It's on fire. Look at the clues. Boom. We've had to move a whole town. You don't cover these things up, can you? You can't cover that up. So we all know what's going on. It's interesting to see that the fighting style of these men coming from North Korea is in the fighting style of these men coming from North Korea is completely different to the Russians, operating in a way that they've probably been taught back home. They're going to have to change their tactics because they're obviously been wiped out in their droves. They probably have pulled out now and they're licking their wounds and they're thinking to themselves, maybe waiting for resupply, maybe waiting for more troops to come and join them. The most disturbing thing I think that I've seen from all of this is the fact that there'd be troops out there prepared to set other troops' faces on fire once they're dead to try and mask their identity. That sort of stuff's going to help nobody on any battlefield on either side, and it's certainly not going to mask the identity of anybody who's out there. Because, like I've said, the technology nowadays, you've got drones taking footage, you've got people on their phones taking footage. You name it, it's coming back. We've already seen it. So, Putin, stop that. Tell your troops we know they're there. All right, you ain't hiding it from nobody. All right. That hasn't worked for you, all right?